Siddhanta 3.4. Draw an east-west line through this fish figure Matsya, similarly using the fish figure theory and the 4 cardinal points of east, west, north and south. Likewise, draw the orbital circle for Abhijit and other 27 constellations which spread throughout the northern and southern hemispheres. So this is where the translation is wrong as far as northern and southern hemispheres. It's northern and southern path of the sun, the northern circle and southern circle, inner and outer circle. It's always circles, never spheres. On the above mentioned base orbital circle. Likewise, draw the orbital circles. It's there. Next. So we've done that. We've got the Matsya fish theory, which is the Vesica Pisces, known as the all-seeing eye. Ultimately is either the eye of Vishnu or the eye of Shiva, coming from the southern petal, coming from the earth. Shiva lives within the earth. Again, you have to go to the earth to understand the above and below. As above, so below. Go to the dark to understand the light. So this is the elliptic plane. So this is the disk that's above us. This is the equatorial circle that we know as the equator, the 7,945, I think, miles. Surya Siddhanta is 1,000 yojanas, so that's 8,000 miles. And the land filling approximately 1,600 miles. But it's the Gleason map, it's a circular map, and once you understand it, especially when people say, oh, we've measured the Gleason map, it's not true, it doesn't work, but they don't understand how the sun's working at all. They don't understand the northern southern path, they don't understand the elliptic, so they can't measure it. I mean, they can try, but they make false assumptions because they're not actually understanding it properly. You have to understand these paths and these circles, and then you know what you're measuring and how we actually see it. Because again, it's all based on this ethereal scale. It's all based on this scale ratio, golden ratio. So for instance, down here in Australia, I'm looking up. In the morning and the sun's coming around in the east, I'm seeing this arch. Well, actually, depending where you live on the disk, you see the inversion, again, light and dark. So if you live on the north, in England, you see the sun go from east to west in the south, and if you live in the south, on the southern circle, you see the sun go from east to west in the north. Anyway, it's fully universal, and the Surya Siddhanta is showing you, teaching us how to see the disk and how to understand the elliptic plane. It is all there, and it's all measured from the sacred geometry from the ethereal lotus that I keep saying. But this is just the beginning. The 6s and the 5s are just the elementary gears that we have to get on, that we have to understand. But once they get spinning, that's what create all these golden ratios, which that is just discontinued. It's the Vesica Pisces, the fish is swimming within the ethereal waters, but you can use the disc as this is the where's the things anyway? So just following the verse, there is Abhijit, star Vega. This is a Taurus constellation. Abhijit in the Lyra constellation, which is an eagle swooping down to catch the fish. Vesica Pisces, Matsya's here, the 12th house, Pisces, Vesica Pisces, Lakshmi. I keep talking about the Shri triangle. So I keep talking about the Shri triangle and the Vesica Pisces coming from the 12th house, which is Vishnu and Lakshmi. Coming together, creating the third eye, the all-seeing eye, the all-seeing wheel. So the verse said, add in the equinoxes, the equinoctial line going through the middle. So that's March 21, September 21, when the sun is here and here, in Aries and Libra. When the sun is here in the on its northern path, it is in Cancer in the north, that's why it's called the Tropic of Cancer, in the north. And then you have, when it's coming around into the south, into the winter solstice, it's in the it's in its southern circle in Capricorn, Makara. Again, the southern circle is ruled by Makara and Shiva and Yamaraj and Yudhisthira. This earth energy and Bhumi. It's not it's not dark and evil to go to the earth, to connect to the earth. It's Capricorn. That's what Capricorn does. The goat, crocodile fish. It's half in the water, half on the land. But still, it's reptilian, because this is what it's teaching us. It's teaching us about the light and how our, this is our pineal gland, right? How our third eye actually perceives the light. And the Surya Siddhanta also talks about the cone. This is the cone. So all about golden ratio and the elliptic, our own elliptic, how we actually see, how we perceive size and shape and perspective and ratio. And what we determine is what's good or what's not good. That's why the powers that be understand all this stuff, and they can control people, because when they see all these sacred geometry going on, it gives the people that's presenting it authority, even though they're presenting a false authority. All modern authority, they're not telling you the truth. They're telling you an inversion so they can keep you on the wraps, and then they can keep the power for themselves. This is powerful stuff. This is full understanding of the ether through the third eye, and Surya Siddhanta explains it. So I'm going to take it all the way through and show how the wheel of time, the disc of time, is actually working, how it's presenting at an 8,000 mile solar circle, not that high above our Earth, on this elliptic plane. So this disc is on that actual angle. Actually, it's not on the angle. We see it on the angle. It's actually just going around on a circle, just size and shape and ratio that where we're seeing it. So this is from the Mahabharata. Sanjaya would be saying this. He's talking to the blind king. O son of the Kuru race, I will, however, describe thee the island called Sudarshan. The island, O king, is circular and of the form of a wheel. Okay, so that's Karnak temple. The Sudarshan chakra, it's the wheel of time, it's the samvatsara, which I showed in the last video, which is going on within our own mind, and it's actually those same ratios which I'm just showing now. This is the seed of life. It's just Vedic style, and they go into the 8 directions and then to the 16. So the 816 again, flip that, is the 6.18 golden ratio, Fibonacci. This is why these things look so beautiful. But this is a sundial. So they've got the scale down, and this will work for any size, long as it's to the scale of the seed of life. This is the petal, the manas. If you've seen me take the manas out of the seed, that's that circle. Anyway, so you can tell which time of year it was, because this would be the center, I guess. This would be the equator. This is the northern path, southern path. So it's going to its northern path. So it's gone past it's gone past vernal equinox. So it's in Taurus. It's actually it's around about where it would be now, or maybe April, May, moving to its to June. Anyway, around then. And then as the sun come up higher, as it's doing its southern path, it'd come out to here. So by looking at the wheel, you can see where the sun is, and so what time of year it is, and then understand the rest of it. All the Navagrahas there, 12 zodiac signs are there if you understand what's going on. It's all divided by 12. 612. Anyway, that's the Vedic evidence of, this is the Karnak Sun Temple. They're not building spheres, and they're not showing you how to understand the Earth as a sphere in any way. So that's just showing the same drawing. I've just put a protractor on there to show the angle, that it is indeed 25.4 Obviously there's pencil there and stuff like that, but it's 25.4 degree elliptic plane that we see that this disk is sat on. That's the degree of the elliptic plane. But yeah, this is Karnak Sun Temple knowledge. There's the Makara, you know, guarding the gate, guarding the entrance, the two towers. You know, you got to get past the Makara. They've got eyes on them. Anyway, the Makara are the guardians. You know, there's actually the square and compass there, but I'll do that in another video. But just get it. It's chuck it in Photoshop. They've just done it this way. It's upside down. 16 steps. You know, these are your eyes. These are the portals, is what you're seeing, and this is the vault of heaven. It is the ethereal lotus, which I'm going to show in a second. This dome, they're always showing these domes. It's not a sphere. They never show a sphere in these temples. This is dedicated to the sun. Why isn't there a sphere there and a solar system and all those things going on? What they tell us now, they don't view it like that at all. It's squares. It's an earth square, earth circle. Anyway, this is the lunar mantle. This is our own mind, which they're taking you into. You got to get past the Makara. As a person can see his own face in a mirror, even so is the island called Sudarshan seen in the lunar disk. Two of its parts seem to be a papal tree, while two others look like a large hare. It is surrounded on all sides with an assembly of every kind of delicious plant. Besides these portions, the rest is all water. Okay, so we've got a few things there. We've got a papal tree, we've got a hare, and we've got a mirror, a lunar disk. So I'm saying that the lunar disk, yes, it is the moon, but also we have our own lunar disk. We have our own mirror of the mind. You know, we have our own mind's eye, and this is the thing about yes, the universe is inconceivable to our own intelligence, but there are other ways of seeing it. Vedically, if you just look at these temples and just look at all these things they were doing, these guys were connected with God in a big way. Like, these guys were dedicated, these guys were onto it, and these, you know, these were setting it in stone. That's how important it was. But the knowledge has been lost. It's the Makara. They've got the lotus on the chest, and it's also the eye. Anyway, the mirror of the mind. That's what it's all about. So, this is what sacred geometry is all about. When you're drawing out the seed of life, that is the mirror of the mind. And that's why the Makara protect it, because the Makara is the false ego. And that's why it feels irksome when you actually look at the Makara, because they do represent your false ego, and your false ego knows that once you do this stuff, the false ego is going to be shattered. And that's why it's scared of it. It isn't evil. The inverted pentagram is not evil. It represents your own subconscious. And this is the whole thing about the Makara, sea monsters, fighting your own demons. You know, it's all a lie. You're in this false sense. And that's the whole idea of the seal of Satan, the seal of Rahu. We're all sealed in a false state, a false ego. And that's our sealed. We're given that at the point of birth. When we get our chart, when we get our imprint at the time of birth, wherever the planets are at that time, that's the seal. Wherever Rahu is, that's our false ego for that life. That's our destiny. You know, we are that soul. We're on that plane. We are that person. We're on that plane, flying. You know, we can't get off that plane. We've chosen it. We are it. False ego. Back to the elliptic plane, back to the Karnak temple. So yeah, the mirror of the mind. So we're going to go for it. We're going to enter into the mirror of the mind, and we're going to open up the ethereal lotus. We're going to follow Surya Siddhanta all the way through, and we're going to learn the science and understand the science, because it is a Sudarshan chakra. It is the Samvatsara wheel, the wheel of time. Whatever you've just seen in that wheel I've showed you is here. It's the same proportions. It's the ethereal lotus, and this is where they was getting all the ratios and all these beautiful domes from that they created, because that's how they understand the earth to be, because that's what it is. This is how we understand the ether, through the fishes, through the Makara, the square and compass, reflected back at ourselves. But that is the universe. That's the universal disk, whether it's the 252 million mile Manasatara, or our 1,000 Yojana Manasatara, or 8,000 mile equatorial circle. It's all the same scale, it's all the same thing, and it's all been pulled in by this magnetic field, this torus field, you know, the bull, the electromagnetic field. I mean, it's beyond the electromagnetic, but it's that's the human understanding. It's an ethereal lotus, electromagnetic ethereal lotus, and by the intent, by the loca, by the look, it's the look. I showed in the first video, TPOV, his eyes lined up with the golden circle, the loca, the look mountain, and this is what it's all about. This is his look, creating this ethereal lotus above us, you know, and we're looking up into this. But it's a scaled down version of the Manasatara Kala Chakra, non-different. So the Surya Siddhanta doesn't in any way say that Earth is a sphere. It's not measured that way, it's not understood that way, it's presented just like this. And you look through all the Vedic temples and Vedic history, they follow these ratios, they follow this. Not a wooden ball, I'm afraid. There's the elliptic cone, there's the elliptic, how we see it, but this disc is obviously on that angle, or we perceive the disc on that angle. It's actually just going on a circle around us. So that's the mirror of the mind, you know, giving up the false ego, breaking the seal of Saturn, because you've given your false ego to an enter. He's the ruler of the false ego, so it doesn't belong to you anymore. You're giving it to him. You get to see it all. All opens up, but you have to get past the Makara. They're the sea monsters that guard it. They guard the ethereal lotus. They don't let you in. So if you're looking at the 5th canto, or even the Surya Siddhanta, definitely the Surya Siddhanta, in a spherical consciousness, you'll never pull out the knowledge. You'll never pull out what they're teaching you, because you're locked up. You're trying to see something else. Your eye is actually closed within a sphere. And that's what this whole esoteric stuff is all about, what all modern Freemasonry is all about, is to keep you locked up, to keep this third eye locked up. Your own internal vision, your own lunar mantle, your own, your own lunar disc. You know, and they control the eye, they control the mind through propaganda, through government, constant media going on. And you've given your own false ego, your own false state over to them and let them run it all. Keep voting them in. But it's rubbish, you know, there's people above there, it's all pirates, you know, it's all paid for. Anyway, this is beautiful. This is the Sudarshan chakra, the ethereal lotus that I've been talking about. The loka grid, the look grid. It's the loka grid. So the verse said, papal tree, the banyan tree. Again, it's a mushroom. I've sometimes read it as explained as mushroom as well, mushroom shaped. But it's a dome. It's a circular dome. Look at this from above. It's a circular dome. So, and then if you laid that over there, you've got the papal tree there, and then the roots into here. And when you see the banyan tree, all the roots coming down, because they're down into the ethereal waters. That's the whole idea about the material world being a banyan tree. You know, upside down banyan tree. You know? So there's this whole lesson in shadow and light, and going towards the shadow to understand the light. The more you understand the shadow, the more you understand the light. Because that's how the third eye works. It sees the shadow. It sees what's going on behind everything. What's driving everything. The subconscious. So anyway, that's the ethereal lotus. That's the loka grid that spins around us. And that's all to scale. And that's all to Surya Siddhanta. And that's all to 5th canto as well. So there was the papal tree. And there's also the hare. So this is all throughout history, the tortoise and the hare, the whole associated with the sun running around. But they were even using this disc, these golden proportions for this carving. This was carved out in stone. So this is the loka grid. coming from the eye of Shiva, coming from the all-seeing eye, coming from the Vesica Pisces, all these golden ratios, sun circles, 108 parts. That is the vision. That's what we're seeing. We're drawing what we're seeing. And that brings me to the VEDIAK yantra. So I've created a whole device that we can show and explain how this all works. Again, it's the disc moving along the top on an elliptic plane. All to sacred geometry, all as an ethereal lotus, can be a papal tree. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, it's like a tree, it's like a lotus, it's like a petal. It's an ethereal lotus.